Bug Implementer.
Welcome back to the daily practice sessions, where we are going to learn how to use the Godot game engine and how to code in general. In this practice session, we are going to build this, a little animation player where we can click on buttons and the corresponding animation will be played. And believe it or not, you have almost everything you need to make this work. So we do not need to learn new code or something like this. So let's build this fun little project. We start by creating a scene. We use the node of type node as the root node. Let's call it main. And I'm going to add a new node that we did not encounter yet. It is called GridContainer. Like this. And this is a UI node like the label or the button, and it is a container that organizes everything we put inside of it in a grid. Let's make it like this and add buttons to this grid container. I'm going to configure this button right now because the font size is a little bit small. Let's go to theme overrides, font size, and change the font size to, let's say, 60. Now I can duplicate those buttons by copying them or use the duplicate command right here. So let's prepare some, and we can change the columns of this container. Let's take 3. And now you can see that they get organized really nice this way by using the grid container node. Next thing we are going to prepare is the AnimatedSprite2D node, sorry. And we are going to put it up here and drag it somewhere here. We did not use the AnimatedSprite2D node yet, and we will discuss it in a minute. Before we start, we get a warning. A sprite frames resource must be created or set in the sprite frames property in order for AnimatedSprite2D to display frames. Okay, so it means basically that we need to add a sprite frames resource right here. We can do it by clicking this arrow and clicking on the sprite frames resource. And if we click on this, the sprite frames editor opens up. For this to make it work, we first save the scene, and we will create a new folder and call it assets. And now we are going to head over to itch.io. This is where you can find assets for free or for testing, or you can buy assets from artists. It's a great way to get your prototypes starting, and we will use it a lot for our little projects. We need to go to game assets, and you type in characters right here. Hit return and scroll down a bit. We could use any character right here, but I think this knight character is really cool from Matt's art. And he is so kind to us that he allows us to download it for free, or we could name our own price. If you want to support him, you can of course give him money. I think it's really awesome. I love the art style. So what you are going to do, you will click on download now, and you can give him money, or you go to no thanks, just take me to the downloads, and then you can download it from here. I already did download it, so I do not need to repeat that. I can just go to my downloads section, and here we go. This is what you get how can we put it inside of the Godot game engine? There is a little trick. You can right click on your assets folder and go for open in file manager. There we go. So this is the folder. I'm going to copy this, Command C, and paste it right here. I could have dragged it also. So now it's inside of our game. We can check. And indeed, we get a lot of folders and directories. I'm choosing the one with outline. And we can start by examining this. It's just PNGs, so little image files. And let's just drag this one in. So I can grab it and drag it into the viewport. And this is what we get. And in your case, I have changed a project setting, by the way. You can type texture right here. Go to textures. And in your case, linear is logged in, and therefore your art will be very blurry. But when you use pixel art in any graphics software or whatsoever, and in game engines as well, you always need the nearest texture filter option. So this is just an option you have to change. And now your pixel art is crisp. So what we get is a strip, a so-called sprite sheet. It is a file with multiple animation steps in it, in a ordered grid-like fashion. This is what the AnimatedSprite2D node can take in, and we can load inside of it to make those animations work. So we can delete this. And we can go to the AnimatedSprite2D node, open up the sprite frame resource, and we can start by renaming this first animation to, let's call it idle. And to make this work, we have to click on this grid here, add frames from sprite sheet. This is what we are going to do. And we search for the idle sprite sheet. And now you can see all of those lines and you can select them, but this is not the way we want it to be. We want to click the auto slice button so that everything is nice and clean, and we can select those individual pictures inside of this sprite sheet. You can do this manually as well, because auto slice does not work all the time, so you can change those however you need it. I always start with auto slice, and if it works well, then I just use it. And you can hold and drag your mouse to select them, and you see those little numbers right here. This is the order in which they will be played. And if you are done, you can click on add frames. Now we have our first animation, and we can check if this is working by hitting the play button. And as we can see, indeed it is working, and it is playing in a loop because we have activated animation looping for this animation. And this is how fast the animation is played. So we will increase this to 10. And now it feels a bit more natural and not so slow. Let's make 2 more. Click and add animation. Let's do this. As I do not know what kinds of animations we have right now, I'm just opening it up and search for, let's make walk. Try the auto slice feature, drag, click and drag, add those frames, test the animation, and it is indeed the walk animation. We will make it a little bit faster by typing in 10. And let's call it walk. let's repeat, add animation, open up. Let's search for, let's make a tag 1 and try the auto slice feature. And as you can see, in this case, auto slice is not working properly. So we need to fix it by trying out different settings right here. So we need less frames. So now it fits, the grid fits the images. So now we can use it and add those frames. We can play this animation. And here it works. It is also slow. Let's make it 10 also and call it attack 1, for example. Save it, and now let's run the current scene. And we can see it is really small right here. So we want to make it bigger. We can do this by just simply dragging it and holding the shift key. We can make it bigger, like this. Let's grab this one, let's grab this one, pull it up a little bit down, and this one as well. And let's check it again. Yeah, and now we are going in a direction I like. Yeah, but we cannot see any animation. To make this AnimatedSprite2D work from the start, when we hit the play button, we can configure a autoplay on load animation. We can choose one that just starts when we start the project, and we will choose the idle animation. Let's try. And now we can see, yes, it starts with the idle animation now. Okay. And now we are all set to start coding. Let's click on the main node and add a script to it. And now we need to access the AnimatedSprite2D node from the main node. We will use the ready function, funcReady, as we did all the time. And we are going to think about the last exercise. This is a parent and this is the child. So we need to select or access the child or a property of this child node right here. We need to use the $sign and write its name. To select an animation in this AnimatedSprite2D node here, we have a property called animation, and it is of type string name. And you can see the default value, and it looks kind of like a string with an ampersand in front, and it is called string name. To select one of them, we need to change this animation property. Let's get this AnimatedSprite2D, get the animation, and now let's change it to something else. And we can hover again over it to see what it needs. It is a string name, so we need to do an ampersand and the quotation marks, and then we need to write, let's check walk. As we can see, now the starting animation is walking. We can try attack 1 as we did here. Attack 1. And it is working as well. Great. So this is how we can change this property. So now the last step is to connect the button signals to the main node. Let's do this. The pressed signal of the buttons. Let's use this button. Before we do it, I am actually deleting this. Get rid of this signal and rename this button to idle btn. This one to, let's call it walk btn. And this one to attack 1 btn. or something like this. And inside of the text property, we also write tag 1. We write walk. And idle is correct. And now let's add those signals. Pressed, connected from the idle button to the main node with the script on it. So now we get this function. Let's make it do it for the walk button as well. And for the attack 1 button as well. And now all we need to do is to copy this line of code and paste it here, and paste it here. We can remove the ready function, and now we start to write. We can inspect. We have attack 1, idle and walk. So let's make this one idle, this one walk, and this one attack 1. Now let's run the scene. Click on those buttons. And as you can see, the corresponding animation is being played. And all we had to do is to use those properties, reassign values, connect the pressed signal. So all the shit we have learned so far. Isn't that great? We still have to learn a lot, of course, but we can start to build little tiny test projects like this. And in this one, we just learned how to configure the AnimatedSprite2D node and how to change the animation property. The exercise for you is to make all those other buttons work as well. There are more animations we could add, like attack 2, attack 3, death, defend, hurt, jump, run, so you could do all of them. I recommend you to do this exercise without peeking. Try to replicate it on your own. Only if something is blocking you or you don't know how to do something, then watch the video again, but try to make it and solve it on your own with everything you know by now. As always, repetition is key. Have fun. Do not rush. Slow and steady wins the race. Just take your time and have fun. See ya in the next one.